1972. Stanford University. A competition among students is taking place. The prize? Rolling Stone magazine subscriptions. The competition? Space War. One of the first video games ever. Created by Steve Russell of MIT for the Programmable Data Processor 1, an academic mini-computer, what started as a get-together among friends has turned into a global phenomenon, grossing over $400 million in total revenue and attracting nearly 1 billion people as of 2016. Professional video gaming, known as esports, is a term used to describe the genre of virtual competition seen in video games. Within the genre of esports, there are many different types of games, ranging from real-time strategy to first-person shooter. And while the most common type of video game the world over is the first-person shooter, the most commonly consumed esport is the multiplayer online battle arena. In these MOBAs, the player is responsible for guiding their character across a battlefield in order to destroy their opponent's base. With you are 4 other characters, all controlled by different players potentially across the globe. Against you are various roadblocks such as enemy defense buildings, powerful monsters, and, above all, the enemy team. Between the unusual, difficult gameplay and intense learning curve, MOBAs have the reputation of leading otherwise experienced gamers to deem them too difficult or off-putting to become invested. However, as far as accessibility goes, MOBAs are incredibly similar to one of the most prominent media in the world: traditional sports. Over the last 8 decades, the art of the football broadcast has come just as far as the sport itself. From the gradual upward shift of the midfield camera to the first down marker augmenting reality as viewers know it, football broadcasts have undoubtedly shaped much, much more than simply other traditional sports broadcasts. Like the advent of the handshake or proliferation of hello as a suitable greeting, these broadcasts have guided the social constructs of so many other media, particularly video games. With the technology at the time constricting the possible view of the camera, broadcast directors had to find a way for the viewers to see as much of the game as possible, leading to the indelible midfield camera we are so accustomed to today. As human imagination and creation is based so strongly in our real-life experiences, new media took the success of this style and remediated it. So, in a way, the technical limitations of primitive video cameras ended up defining entire genres of video games. Now, going back to MOBAs, the viewpoint is set at an isometric angle, meaning that there is a simulated third dimension as a result of very specific camera angling. This type of camera work has seeped into mainstream traditional sports, as it can now be seen in football, basketball, and soccer. Combined with the various angles created as both video and video game technology has progressed, the two media have benefited substantially from one another. The next major increase of immediacy in these media came with Intellivision's NFL football in 1979. In this video game, players controlled the teams from a top-down perspective, attempting to outscore their opponent before time ran out, just like a normal football game. The important part of NFL football came with the introduction of extra information to the player. The small line of text detailed the player's position on the field, along with the current down. While simple, this helped create an experience for the player, further investing them into their game. As NFL football was considered by many to be a genre-defining game, Intellivision demonstrated that increasing the mediation of an experience helps increase enjoyment and, in turn, profit. This small step helped usher in a new era of broadcasting which has continued through today. With the deep similarities between esports and traditional sports, a strong difference lies in the strongest presence of every normal human's life: reality. Esports are a media based in virtual worlds, in non-existent universes. They are housed in the confines of imagination, the original form of virtuality. This is in complete contrast with traditional sports, which are based solely on what humans have been capable of producing since the dawn of man. Running, throwing, chasing. These actions are all based on their original violence which caused humankind to evolve so quickly and so dominantly. These sports are, in part, so popular because they are rooted in the very DNA of both its producers and consumers. This tangibility is lost on video games, which have, since creation, been completely intangible. Therefore, traditional sports are almost guaranteed to forever be considered more popular than esports, right? Well, not necessarily. The concept of epigenetics suggests that over time, certain actions and potentially beliefs will become so ingrained into generations' minds and cultures that those beliefs and customs will carry over via the hard coding of human DNA. Considering this argument, there may come a time that humanity has become so inundated and accepting of the virtual that the primary consumption and understanding of reality is housed in what can be considered our imaginations. In reality, the tangibility of a ball reaching the hands of a teammate or the back of a net can never be replaced by video games. However, the portability, the repeatability, and sheer manipulability of the virtual of video games are near impossible to replace and impossible to ignore. Over time, as the technology advances, we are seemingly destined to see a shift to the media exhibiting the highest amount of mediation. Take the explosion of virtual reality as a prime example. As more people begin to realize the objectively unmatched experience of video games, generations after generations will begin to adapt and expand the genre further than ever imagined possible. Beyond these differences, beyond the bias of either media, they remain incredibly similar. Influential of and influenced by each other, video game broadcasts will always share a common ground with traditional sports, and vice versa. After all, the social business of both are virtually the same. The best in the world at their respective games coming together to entertain the people who subscribe to those respective games, all through the media of violence. Because traditional or simulated, humans have always loved violence. A fact that, like soccer's comparative irrelevance in America, will probably never change.